love my job. It is a very absurd job. How you all doing? Good. Hope you had a good break. Also, I always want to do this, and I always forget to do it if I do it at the end, because I just leave. So could you please just give a round of applause to all the people at Komedia? It's been absolutely fabulous. It's been lovely here. Also, often the people who've discovered me on television, you see like a fully formed comedian, but you don't realize that a lot of us, you'll see someone get famous and you'll be like, oh, they just popped out of nowhere. No, for years you do comedy, and there's a comedy club here. Create a comedy club every weekend, and I've been doing it for like 10, 12 years. So do go through that if you're Brightonites, and you'll see the young comedians who will one day make it. It's lovely. So it's good. Also, where's my friend over there who loved the cricketer? Yeah, so Brian Stokes is his name. Ben. Okay, Ben, it doesn't, don't worry, it's a bad joke anyway, but this is the best I could do. So I did my research on Ben Stokes, and I agree with you, he's a total dick. This cricketer is a total dick, and in fact, on the rating scale of being a dick from 1 to 5, I give him a 6. Hey man, that's a great cricket gag. I don't know what's wrong with you people. I tried my best. I didn't hit the wicket, but I tried the best. Hey man, I'm trying. He will never be brought up again on this tour. Hello. Okay, so welcome back. So it's been a great tour. I will say that sometimes at moments of my shows, I get odd reactions from crowds. And one of the big things is, you know how I end the first half, I talk about how I found that the UK is the most accepting place I've ever lived. It's very accepting. Every now and then, I'll see some other black person in the room shake their head, right? Or I'll see someone like say, "Oh, you're just pandering," or something like that. But I'm honest. Like, I actually feel it's accepting. Now, I'm not saying that I feel that it's a utopia. It's just comparatively. Because I'll tell you why I say that. In the UK, what happens a lot from day to day, not talking about what makes headlines, is not so much hate, but ignorance, right? And ignorance is still bad, but it's not the same as hate, right? I get ignorance all the time. And it's always a little odd. Because sometimes you feel like you can be offended because this person likes you, right? Like I had a posh lady in Cambridge approach me who clearly liked me. She was a big fan, posh white lady, and she approached me and she's like, "Oh, you're so funny. So clearly doesn't hate me. But then she kept talking. Said some very strange things. She said, it's so inspiring, the way you came from nothing. And I was like, what is this woman on about? Came from nothing? But the more she spoke, I realized what had happened, right? She just grabbed hold of the fact that I'm from Africa and created her own backstory for me. This woman had watched way too many Oxfam ads. And she was imagining a world where I must have grown up in some kind of, refugee camp with flies flying around my face. She was saying stuff like, "You've come so far. How do you speak such good English?" And yes, Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world, but I wasn't. We had a Volvo. And I had to let her know that I was actually privileged. And I actually felt really bad letting her know because she was so excited. She felt like she was talking to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I had to let her know she was actually talking to Carlton. But that wasn't even the worst moment, right? That wasn't even the worst moment. The worst moment, actually, was before going on this tour. So before going on this tour, I finished my last tour, had a meeting with a bunch of producers, right? The people who put up the money to decide if we can do the tour, and then they recoup it from the profits, right? So I met with all these producers, and we were having a chat, and they're like, "Oh, no, we don't think it's time to go on tour again, because you did Britain's Got Talent 2 years ago. You need to do another big television thing to sell tickets before people come out to see you again." And then they started just spitballing. And one was like, "You know what we should do? We should try get him on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here," right? Let's try get him, send him to the jungle, be great. And without thinking, the other one said, "No, he's got an unfair advantage." What did the man think? I can swing through the trees or something like that? I commune with the plants and just kind of coax water out of the ground. I don't know what this person was dreaming about. Now, they were very apologetic. They still apologize every time they see me. But that's what you get in the UK. And it's also one of those things which I find really odd when people are like, oh, you've come so far. How do you speak such good English? Of course I speak English. I went to British schools, but crazy British schools in Africa. Right? So I went to a school in Kenya, which is a British school. I went to a school. Now, other people who grew up who were educated outside the UK. Clap. Okay, a few people. Hello, so someone over there. So not the person from Jordan I spoke to. I didn't speak to you. Where are you from? Saudi Arabia. You went to school in Saudi Arabia, right? Oh, in the UAE. You're right, United Emirates. I was blackmailed. Anyway, a whole other crazy blackmail. This story came back to me about UAE. Now, so just as a tip, don't use Tinder in the UAE. I will not explain the full story, but this is just a tip. Just a tip. What you think will show up is not what you think. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Literally, I was like, huh? What are you? Like, give me money. What? Anyway, sorry. So my friend from the UA, when you were studying, what languages did you learn at school? English and Arabic. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. Now, seems like common sense, right? But I was in African countries, surrounded by Africans. Like when I was in Kenya, I was surrounded by Kenyans. Swahili is the Kenyan language. Hakuna Matata, that's where it comes from. Disney didn't make it up. So I'm in Kenya, surrounded by Kenyans. My school decides, no, don't teach him any Swahili. He's got no use for that. Instead, they taught me English, French, Latin. Latin is a dead language. There's no fucker walking around going, I'm a bow, I'm a bus, I'm a butt. My crazy school thought there's more chance I'm going to run into the ghost of Julius Caesar than another living, breathing African. And in history class, I was in Africa, surrounded by Africans. You'd think maybe some African history will come up. Teach me about Jomo Kenyatta. Teach me about Nelson Mandela. Anything. No! Henry VIII. William the Conqueror. And as a kid, you don't question anything. You just learn what they teach you. But I realized in loads of subtle ways, my school was telling me that my culture was shit. And your culture was awesome. And then I moved to the UK and I heard people saying, why do all these immigrants come here? Well, you bloody prepared me. Where did you think I was gonna go? Should have taught me Japanese if they didn't want me here. But I'm not that African, right? I'm not that African with the Oliver Twist story who grew up in a village and changed his life through education. I'm not that story. I don't have to be because that was my mom. Yeah, my mom grew up in a village, got a scholarship, became a doctor, joined the WHO. I don't have to be that African because that was my mom. And also that was my dad. My dad grew up in a village, got a scholarship to Yale in America, became a member of the UNHCR, became a diplomat, worked there for a long time, retired, joined the Malawi government, right? I'm very proud of both of them, but let me just tell you this, that is a hell of a lot of pressure. Because they've done the full arc, you know, the full arc from rags to riches. I have got no excuse to fail, right? Also, if I fail, I'm going to have explaining to do when I have kids. Because could you imagine the kids find out, looking at the pictures, be like, Dad, what happened? You'd have to spin it, wouldn't you? You can't tell your kids that you're a failure. You'd have to spin it. I'd have to be like, you kids don't know. You kids are so lucky. You get to stay so fit. Walking 10 miles to school every day. When I was a kid, we were driven. Very proud of my parents, very proud of my dad in the Malawi government. Malawi, you're probably aware of this. Yes, my dad was in the Malawi government. When he retired, he couldn't stay retired. He joined the Malawi government, became Minister of Education. Not surprised, because when I was a kid, no matter what grades I got, weren't good enough. If I got 5 A's, 2 B's, you'd say, no, Apply yourself. You're not reaching your potential. 7A's 1B, no! Apply yourself. You're not reaching your potential. And he was tough on me, but I understand, he'd changed his life with education. He thought it would do the same for me. Nowadays, though, I call him. He's 77, still in the government, still going. Malawi, though, has been pretty chaotic recently. I called him, I said, Dad, there are food shortages all over Malawi. People are on strike. Apply yourself. You're not reaching your potential. But at the same time, African politics is crazy. Now we've got Zimbabwe here. We've got Malawi here. Have we got any other Africans in the room? Clap. No, just you two. Oh, there was a quiet clap. Where's the other quiet clap from? The quiet clap is still Malawi. It's still Malawi. Hello, Malawi. Hello, Malawi. Well, you three, as representative Africans, can just tell the rest of the room, African politics is insane. In fact, any of you who've just been watching the news, you probably know African politics is insane. Just to convey this to you, let me tell you this. 14 years ago, my dad was in the Malawi opposition party, right? So the other party, not like the ruling party, sort of like Labour is here. I am in Manchester watching the BBC News, and a story comes on and says 11 members of Malawi's opposition party have been arrested for trying to plot a coup d'etat. And the cheeky BBC didn't say any names. I was watching this like, is my dad one of those? I had to call Malawi. I couldn't get through. I left the weirdest message of my life. I was like, Dad, have you just been arrested for trying to overthrow the government? Give my love to Mom. And on that instance, he wasn't arrested because on that day, the day of the alleged conspiracy, he was in South Africa getting his liver operated on. So kids, drinking too much can save your life. But I bring this up because yes, 14 years ago, he wasn't arrested, but a year and a half ago, my father was arrested. Right? My father was arrested, and he was put on trial on suspicion of corruption. It was a crazy time. I wasn't allowed to talk about it. Insane things were happening in Malawi. I was not allowed to talk about it on stage because I could influence the trial, apparently. I could cause all kinds of problems. And I was panicking. I was terrified. I can finally talk about it because after a year and a half of hearings and trial, he's finally been found innocent of all charges. And I am relieved because I was like 80% sure he was innocent. You're never sure. Like, clap your hands if you've had a friend or family member accused of a crime. Clap. Oh, quite a few. Okay, so, oh, you two. I've not spoken to you two. So, first, let's test. Is the person who was accused with you right now? Okay, so now, is it the same person or did you both have different people? Oh, different people. It's like, now this is like top trumps, okay. The person you know, what were they accused of? Robbing an old lady. Oh, robbing an old lady. Oh my gosh. Now the question, were they guilty or were they innocent? Were they found? I think they're guilty. You think they were guilty? You think so. But clearly they didn't get caught. To be honest, it was my sister's ex-boyfriend. Your sister's ex-boyfriend. Oh my God. She has got low standards. Can you introduce me to her? Okay, I see. So robbing an old lady, it's going to take quite a lot for you to top that. Okay, what was yours?
It wasn't topping that.
What was yours? You're accused for what? Oh, you can't say it. Something really depressing, isn't it? I've been talking about, horrible people. There's nothing worse than this stuff. We've had, Rolf Harris in this show. I think you're fine. What did they do?
No,
we won't ask who they are.
drug dealing.
Drug dealing? Give me their number. I spoke to the right two people. Woman with low standards and a recreational activity. We are going to hang out after the show. What's really funny is I can't say everyone here knows a drug dealer or two. Well,
No, but this is more organized.
more organized. Okay, so it wasn't like my mate who sells a little bit of weed. This was like
Organized crime.
organized crime.
Operation.
Now I understand why he's saying I can't say because they might say, oh, Mr. Funny Man, talking about me at comedy shows. Okay. Well, I won't press. We're all curious now. No, so I'll tell you the thing is, though, you're never 100% sure. And it was also one of those cases where, because it was Malawi, strange things were happening, right? You probably read about this in the news. Because the day after his first hearing, which went very well, his office blew up. Somebody blew up his office. Also shows you no one changes their mind. Because everyone on his side said, you see, because the first hearing went well. You see, first hearing went well. They blew up his office to threaten him, get him to shut up, plead guilty. Everyone on the other side said, you see, he's blowing up evidence. He's blowing up his own office so we don't find evidence. And then I got involved because my dad calls me in a panic now. He's like, Daliso, you must help me. You're in the UK. They've blown up my office. Huh? They've blown up my office. Also, in the trial, they brought up things I've said to your mother in private. Clearly, they've bugged the house. They've bugged the house. They've blown up my office. You need to help. Find a spy. I said, what do you mean, Dad? He said, you're in the UK, eh? You can find like a James Bond, eh? Find a spy. I was like, that's not a real person. I don't know what movies you've been watching. I can't go to number 10 and be like, do you have any extras? Find a spy. He says, okay, maybe you can't find a spy. Then go Google. You can't Google a spy. You can't just find a spy. Also, if you find a spy, that's a shit spy. Because I'm an idiot, I started making jokes. I was like, oh, my dad wants me to find a spy. After a show, somebody approached me. Yeah, I did a show in Huddersfield. After the show, someone approached me and said, is that just a joke, or are you really looking for a spy? I was like, are you a spy? He was like, no, he wasn't a spy, but he was a lawyer. And his firm did a lot of work in dangerous parts of the world, and they had an ex-military contractor who they use in such situations. He gave me the business card of a spy! I have got the contact of a spy on my phone. I should not have this information. I'm a comedian. I'm an idiot. This could go horribly wrong. Imagine I end up on like Michael McIntyre's roadshow thing. He does send to all. I could start a war. But so we met the spy. And I've got to say it was a bit of an anticlimax because I expected more espionage to be involved. I wanted code names. I wanted to have to wear a mask or something like that, wear like a trench coat, meet him somewhere and say, Whiskey Tango level, or something like that. No, we met at Weatherspoons. He was still very impressive. He was a very impressive guy. He was like, look, big bastard. Looked like he'd eaten Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, covered in tattoos, had like scars, a missing bit of ear. I didn't ask any questions. Maybe a past client was Mike Tyson. I didn't need to know the details, right? Right? But we talked to this guy, nothing fazed him. We're like, and then they blew up his office. He's like, yeah. And they bugged the house. He was like, no one uses bugs. I was like, what do you mean no one uses bugs? He's like, nobody uses bugs anymore. I don't know if any of you knew this. Apparently, it's much easier nowadays to just hack people, right? You hack them or you plant stuff on their devices. Also, they're monitoring themselves now and stuff like Facebook, so you just hack in. I was like, okay, whatever, okay. So, we spoke to the guy. We hire him. It's very expensive, but he's going to look into this and he's going to find out who's responsible for all this stuff in Malawi. After 2 weeks, my dad calls. Who is responsible? Who is framing me? Who? We call the guy and he says, hey, this is a long process. I can't just go to a bomb, follow a string back, and you find out who planned it. This is going to take many months. I'm cultivating contacts and so on and so forth. Maybe 6 months, 7 months, we'll get to the bottom of this. We tell my dad that he's like, this man, he's a crook. He's stolen my money. Ask for a refund. I was like, I am not asking that man for a refund. He could kill me with his toe. Also, how would that conversation even start? Like, I think we need to do a performance review of your spying. I feel it is not up to scratch. But of course, my dad wanted it to be over, right? Of course he wanted it to be over. He had gone from being like Malawi's favorite son, you know, someone who had gone from being in a village to being in the government, loved and admired, to being hated. I think this is part of why, I think this is part of why I ended up writing a show about all these celebrities and people like that who people loved, who've fallen from grace, because this kind of happened in my family. It did, because my dad was admired, and I also felt it because after I did Britain's Got Talent, I kind of went through the same thing, because people in the UK kind of were excited about me on Britain's Got Talent. People in Malawi lost their minds. Because they'd never been like a Malawian who you can go click on YouTube and go watch their videos. So Malawians went nuts. When I came off the plane, when I first went back after the show, there were hundreds of people with Daliso t-shirts in the airport, like cheering and stuff like that. It was nuts. And I went from that to last year running down the street as someone ran after me saying, "Hey, your father's a thief, eh? Give us our money. Hey, you bastards, you Chaponda bastards, give us our money." I was like, oh my God, I don't know where it is. And I got all the hate. Like no one can get to my dad. My dad's not on social media. He's not. I'm on everything. I'm on absolutely everything. I'm on Facebook. I'm on MySpace. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Tinder. I'm on Grindr. I'm on stuff I shouldn't be on. I'm on jdate.com. That's Jewish dating. I'm not Jewish. But I'm on it. I'm on seekaseek.com. Yeah, I made that one up. I did. I'll tell you what's crazy. That's the dumbest joke in the show. And people love it. I've written jokes where I'm like, you know, analyzing racism and like all these kinds of things like that, but the show people are covering it. I'm a seeker. But I'm on everything. So I got all these messages. Oh, whatever, you bastard, swear words. And then in the middle of all of them, somebody tried to blackmail me. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever been blackmailed. Now, this is the second time I've blackmailed. I didn't mean to tell people, but yeah, someone tried to blackmail me in Dubai because of Tinder. As I said, I'm on everything, right? And then the second time somebody tried to blackmail me, I've got to give them this. They were very direct, right? Because while my dad was on trial, I opened my Facebook account to an email. To a message in my Facebook messages. Instead of an image, the image which they've used as their profile is my father's face. And then they open their message, "Hello, I am blackmailing you." And I was like, what is this guy on about? He says, "Your father is on trial, he's guilty. I have evidence. Give me £5,000 or I will tell the newspaper, I will tell the police." And when I read this, I went from 80% to 60%. Because I was reading this, I was like, maybe my dad did it. I never really considered it before, but I was like, maybe he did it. And then I had to think, if my dad was guilty, what did I want to happen? He's still my dad. He still was a good dad. He sent me to good schools. He used to throw balls at me, you know, like, he doesn't erase that. What do? Do I want my dad in prison? I'll still visit him. And then I also started to think, but if he is guilty, I don't want to be the person paying off someone to destroy evidence. That would make me feel terrible. And I realized I can't make this decision. I have to tell my dad. And when I was about to call my dad, I panicked because I was like, imagine I call my dad and I say, somebody wants £5,000 to destroy evidence. Imagine my dad's like, here's the money, get rid of it. That would mean 60% is better than zero. That'd be really depressing to know that for sure about your dad and never have any question. But I was like, look, I can't ignore this guy. I could just aggravate him. What have I got to do? I've got to call my dad. So I just bottled up my courage. I said, okay, let me call him. So I called my dad. I said, Dad, somebody is trying to blackmail us. He says, you're guilty. He's got photographic evidence, and he's going to give it to the police and the newspapers unless we give him £20,000. guilty. I want my cut. My dad just laughed it off, which is a shame. I could have used the money. Oh, gosh. But my dad was naive. He was naive because he thought when it was done, his life would be back to normal. He's found innocent. He's back to normal. But that's not how internet works, right? Of the people on my list of now 50 people, right? Of the people who've been blacklisted, some of them it's for stuff they did. Some of them it's for stuff they said. Others it's for allegations, right? Accusations which haven't yet been proved. But again, some things people just in their head, they believe. Because whatever happens in court, there's also what we think. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Clap your hands, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who thinks O.J. Simpson didn't kill his wife. Clap. Not one. Not one. So what happens in court matters, but it doesn't fully change people's minds. So my dad, even though he was cleared, a lot of people in Malawi are like, they're all guilty. They probably just bribed the judge, huh? We were in a car. People saw him, started throwing stones at the car. I felt really bad because my dad's like an old school African man. He doesn't show emotion, right? He just like, no, I love you in our house, just a wink. And if you really mean it, wink twice. It's how we are. It's Zimbabwe, same thing, right? You know, you don't show any weakness, no emotion. But when they were throwing stones at the car, I thought he was gonna cry. But something funny happened the next day, though. Someone showed up at the front door, kind of wearing ragged clothing, banged on the door, and says, "Hello, I would like to speak to Honorable Judge Chaponda." That's my dad. We call my dad. The guy says, "Hello, I was one of the people throwing stones." And I was like, why is this guy here? Does he want his stones back? What does he want? And the guy explained. He says, look, we were paid, huh? We were paid by the other party, MCP. So the other political party, right, essentially, paid them to throw stones so that it was a bad story in the news. It worked. It was like front page, Chaponda, angry people throw stones at him. They're like, we were paid. We throw stones at you. Sorry, huh? But if you pay us, we know how these things work. We make sure it never happen again. I thought my dad was going to kick him. My dad hired him. We have got our own squadron of stone throwers now. If anybody is looking, we very charge reasonable rates. They can throw other things, confetti at weddings, whatever you need. And my dad also now has got obsessed with trying to clear his name, right? Trying to change his legacy. So he's giving away all his money, right? You know, he'll donate money to a hospital. He'll build a well in a village. He's just like giving away. And I'm like, I was going to inherit some of that. No, but I understand. I fully understand. I do the same thing. He doesn't want that to be the last thing people find when they Google. He's just like, give it away. I want to be African Bill Gates. Come on, let's do it. And I understand you start to worry about how people will remember you as you get older, don't you? Right? Like, what ages do we have here? Clap people under 20? Okay, there is one. The one young person. Oh, the person from the UAE. How old are you, man? 18. Oh, welcome. You came to the right place, I gotta say. You can do much more sinful things in the UK, actually, so it's a good place to be 18, I just gotta say. Like, when did you first come to the UK?
On my birthday.
On your birthday? Wow, so you grew up in the UAE. Have you ever been to a strip club? Dude, you gotta go. Look, generally we don't condone this kind of thing, but for you, it'll be an eye-opening experience. Blow your fucking mind. Oh my God, I'm never going back. They should give you like a discount. Just like, I've never seen these things. Okay. And so that you, 20s clap. Okay, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 70s, woo, 80 plus. Wow, we've got a full range. We've got a full range. It also tells me I have no demographic. Very good to know. Okay. No, but I bring this up because as you get older, you start to worry how people would remember you. I never thought I had this in me. I was like, I don't care. When I die, just, put me in a box. I don't care. Like, I didn't care. And then I found out I actually care quite a lot when I was on Fly B. Who has flown Flybe? Have you flown Flybe? I think we can all agree. Those planes are made out of paper mache. I was flying to Aberdeen. The plane hit a pocket of turbulence. I love how they try to play it down. Oh, we've just hit a pocket. The plane was like flapping around like I was praying to everything. I was praying to God too. I was praying to Vishnu. I was praying to Zeus. I was like, who did the Scientologists? Oh, Xenu, whoever's there. I don't care. Help. It was terrifying. And as my life was flashing before me, I surprised myself because I didn't think about my family. I didn't think about my girlfriend. All I was thinking was, will people still watch my YouTube videos? You worry. It's so shallow, but you worry. Like, I have a friend, a comedian. He's called Tom Stade. Have any of you seen him? No one. It's a tragedy because this man is a genius. If he's ever performing at the Komedia, please come see him because he's probably the best comedian in the UK. Absolute genius comedian. And this is what I didn't understand. Not only is he the funniest person I've seen in the UK, he's also like a good-looking guy. And I was like, wait a second. People are always telling me that the industry is so shallow and all they care about is how you look. You're funny and good-looking. Why aren't you on every channel? And he looked at me and he said something kind of humble and kind of rock and roll. Because he looked at me and said, you know, I probably would be if it wasn't for the whiskey and the cocaine. And I was like, wow, you know, it's kind of sad, but he knows himself. His own demons held him back from opportunities. Kind of sad, but it's still kind of rock and roll. Then later, I was walking home, and I started to wonder to myself, hey, why aren't I more famous? Why aren't I on every channel? And I realized it's just not as rock and roll a story to look at someone and say, yeah, I probably would be if it wasn't for the porn and the video games. You can't write that biography, you know, like the rum diary. You can't write the cum diary. It's just, sorry, it's a terrible joke. But remember, seek a seek, okay? Not all the puns work. Oh, but it's true, man. It's absolutely true. You start to worry how people will remember you. You start worrying. And also just aging is odd. It's odd. Your body starts doing its own thing. I just hit 40. I'm not even that old, but my body's just given up on me. Recently, I dropped a coin. I didn't pick it up. Because I just looked at it and I thought the math in my head, the strain on my knees was not worth 20p. Older people are nodding, you know what I mean? Because I'm bending over for notes only. Also, people in your 20s, okay? I don't want to be crude, but please, for the love of God, people in your 20s, have as much sex as you can right now. Right? Just don't have standards. Anybody willing, jump on them. In fact, if you are in a committed relationship, dump them and start sleeping around. Your priority in your 20s should be quantity over quality. I see romantic people shaking head, but think about it. You're going to be 50. You're going to be 50 looking back, right? I see some older people thinking, yeah, he's right? Because you're going to be older looking back and saying, what was I doing? And also, you're probably insecure, hate your body. You're going to be 50 looking back, I was hot. Why did nobody tell me I was hot? Also, sex is so easy in your 20s. Oh, my Lord. It's so easy. You have no idea. The wind blows and you are ready. You are ready to go. Like, when you get to, like, 50, like, I need to prepare. Like, before sex is a whole ritual. Drink a Barocca, okay? Get ready. And also, for men, I got to tell you, it becomes like playing chess, right? Because, look, you've got to stay in the moment. You got to stay in the. You can't be distracted. You got to be looking at them. You got to be thinking sexual thoughts. Thinking about a bird goes. Oh, sorry, I can't. I can't keep going. It's such a nightmare. What's ironic though is when you're in your 20s, right? When you're in your 20s, you're full of energy, full of stamina, but you have no idea what you're doing. You're just pinching and poking, hoping for the best. You get to your 40s, you get to 50, you finally know how to please a woman. No energy. I realized that nowadays my best role in pleasing a woman would actually be on the side of the bed as a coach. As some 20-year-old is going at it, I'm yelling out helpful tips. Get your hips into it, man! Pull her hair! Or if it's a black woman, don't touch her hair! Or you are funding the next Brazilian. That's so true. Someone said that's so true. Oh, you said that's so right, isn't it? Right. There was a look that passed between it. You did it once, didn't you? You did it once and never again. Too soon. Too soon. Did this just happen to you too? Oh, did you buy a Brazilian recently? Oh, I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain. You have no idea how expensive black hair is. I'm telling you. I've got to do monthly savings for the next one. Oh gosh. But youth is wonderful. Youth is wonderful. And I also say this. Youth is so wonderful. I was listening to a young couple. They were 22. They've been together for 3 months. They were so in love. You know when they're so in love, you want to punch them in the face? They were so happy. They're like, I love you. I love you more. I love you more. But I also felt sorry for them because they were making amateur mistakes that older people would never make, man. The people who clapped at 60 would never make these mistakes. These people are like, we love each other so much. We tell each other everything. And I was like, what are you doing? You don't need to know everything. Young people think every thought tells you don't need to know everything. You need to keep some mystery. Some stories you need to keep for yourself. You can't binge a relationship like it's Netflix, right? Also, like if you've had something horrible happen to you, God forbid, something like, when you were a kid, your PE teacher touched you or something, don't just waste it. Don't just give it to them for free. Save it. Save it for like year 4, year 5, you get in a fight. She's something like, I can't believe you forgot to pick up my parents. That's when you drop it. I'm sorry, I was having flashbacks. Instead of getting in trouble, you get a hug. You get a hug. Oh, and they were talking about their sex life. This is when I actually got angry at them because they're like, oh my God, we're so kinky. And I was like, wait a second. You've been together 3 months. Why are you kinky after 3 months? You don't need kink. What is wrong with you? You're going to run out of things to do to each other. And they're like, we watched 50 Shades. We got some chains and whips. I was like, chains and whips? You're 1. What are you going to do? You're 2. What are you going to do? You're 5. What are they going to do on their silver anniversary? To make it special, they're going to have to shit on each other. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Now, one of the things that happens because I decided to do this show without an opening act is what I used to do with the opening act is I would leave, people would keep clapping, and then the opening act would say, hey, you guys want more? Bring him back for more. But I realized when I do it alone, I should just stay on stage, right? Because I left, and then people would just leave, and I'd be like, I had more jokes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you one more joke. I'm going to tell you a joke which used to be part of the show that I removed from the show because I was doing Britain's Got Talent, The Champions. Have any of you seen it? Oh, okay. Well, you've seen this joke, right? Because I did it, and you should not do jokes which are still on tour because they get, but I was like, I need a joke, so I just put it in that show. So I'll do that as an encore. But before I go, I just want to say, before I do that joke, honestly, I was advised not to do this tour. People said, it's been years since you did any big TV thing. No one's going to come. So I was panicking. It was entirely possible that 12 people were going to come. So thank you, every one of you, for coming. Thank you very much. Thank you. My thank you. Thank you. And the routine I'm going to leave you on is actually one which comes from the heart because I grew up in a very religious country. Now, any religious people in the house, clap. Just to feel, we've got to feel maybe. No, I don't understand. In Brighton, what you said, I'm in Brighton. Does that mean more or less religious? Oh, less. Less. Okay, less. I don't know. Well, generally the UK is very unreligious, which I don't understand. You started it. Think about it. You sent your little missionaries down to Africa on your little adventures, converted every one of us, gave us all Bibles, took all the oil, and then now you're like, not so much. And I tried to figure out, I didn't understand, but then I cracked the code. I know why you're less religious. I think it's because of the churches, right? Now clap your hands, whether or not you're religious, clap your hands if you've ever been to an African or a Caribbean church. Clap. Quite a few of you. I think you can verify it's a lot of fun, right? Where did you go to one? In Birmingham. Oh, Birmingham. So it was amazing, wasn't it, right? We have a party in there. I grew up going to Pentecostal black churches. Do you remember the royal wedding? Do you remember that preacher? That's a Pentecostal. You know what I mean? Speaking. I love that wedding because there were people in the crowd who had never seen so much passion in their life. Lots of nervous posh people. It was wonderful, right? And the next day on Twitter, everyone was going, oh, I can't believe he talked for 10 minutes. I was like, this is a Pentecostal preacher. 10 minutes you got off lightly, right? Because we've got drama in our churches. We've got people clapping, right? The preachers are saying, amen. Can I hear an amen? Can I hear an, oh yeah, people jumping up, joining in, saying hallelujah, amen. This is what I grew up with, a party, a weekly celebration. The first time I went to a British white Anglican church, I was so disappointed. I was like, come on, people, somebody stand up. God is very busy. You've got to get his attention. And African churches are even better than Birmingham, right? Because let me tell you this, in African churches, who's been to an African church in Africa? You've been in what country? Zambia and? Zambia and Zimbabwe. Oh, you can verify. There are people like Hubert Angel rolling, man. They have got miracles going down, right? Miracles. Hubert Angel brought someone back to life. Brought a dead man back to life. We've got miracles. We've got people throwing crutches. I didn't believe it, but then I was there. I was there when a woman started speaking in tongues. Have you seen a woman speaking in tongues? I didn't expect it. Woman just got up, started to sway. I didn't know what was going on. I just thought she liked the music. She swayed. And then suddenly she started. I didn't know what it meant. Then I moved to the UK. Now I know it was Welsh. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming to Blah Blacklist. Ciao.